The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
From wherever she left, from Washington, D.C. to Hawaii and back again, flying commercially. Now, remember one thing. All they would have had to have done was email it to the White House. Why would Corley have to fly all the way to Hawaii to pick up a forged PDF? That could have been emailed to the White House. Why wasn't it just emailed?
It doesn't make any sense.
No, well, it doesn't, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, they created it. I mean, the evidence that they have created it is overwhelming.
Remember,
as opposed to,
yeah. I mean,
I was going to say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, like, the evidence for it being forged far outweighs it being authentic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the numbers don't fit. I mean, the time, nothing fits. But it was mother's milk to the mainstream press. Remember, White House counsel Bob Bauer, who is from that same law firm, Perkins Coie, and that's where Judith Corley works, and how she hopped a plane from D.C. to Honolulu to get an envelope from Loretta Fuddy, who's now dead. Fuddy was the director of the Hawaii Health Department, to bring that back to Obama. Now, the envelope contained 2 paper photocopies of Obama's original long-form birth certificate. Now, the Hawaiian Independent newspaper reported Corley had appeared in person at the Hawaii DOH building in Honolulu. Corley then picks them up and flies 13 and a half hours back and hands them to Barack Obama. She didn't make any beach visits. She flew in, turned around, and came right back the next day. 27-hour round trip. Corley delivers the documents to the White House April 26th at 4:30 in the afternoon. She left April 25th and came back April 26th. Do you believe that story?
No. Unfortunately, I don't believe much that comes out of it.
All right. So the White House held. I read this again this weekend. So Barack Obama holds a press conference April 27th, 2011, and turns around in a surprise and says, "Here's the real birth certificate." And he said he was tired of all of this silliness. We now know, within a few hours after the White House posted the real birth certificate, quote, on their website, it was a forgery. It never existed on paper. It wasn't a scanned photocopy of the original document. It was a computer-created forgery. Do you agree?
Yes, completely.
Why would Corley fly all the way to Hawaii to pick up a forged PDF? It could have been emailed to the White House. So, Corley arrived with photocopies of Barack Obama's original birth certificate? No. And why does he select a private sector lawyer who's connected to the law firm of his then general counsel, Bob Bauer? And the official version is she got the envelope from the hand of Loretta Fuddy, who, of course, turns out to be in this weird cult that Obama's mother probably bounced off of. The whole thing, Sean, is so unbelievable that it turns to people like me and you, and we kind of look at each other, and I'm sure, thousands of people listening or not listening, how the hell can you believe the story anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there's just no credibility to it. And, I mean, even if that did happen, it's only for show, because, I mean, there's no reason to believe that any of it's real.
None of it's real.
There really isn't.
None of it's real.
It's all sleight of hand and smoke and mirrors, which is basically what we've gotten from them from the start.
I'm stumped. I mean, I've done a lot of reading this weekend and, reading for the show and getting ready to talk to you and talk to other people. And I got to tell you something. The more I push at this story, and I've pushed at it for almost a decade, I have more questions now than I had when I started asking the questions. Seriously.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, Obama's no-match letter from a Social Security. I mean, he's got a mismatched letter from Social Security. I mean, we talk to people all the time. His SSN doesn't jive, does it?
No, it doesn't. The one he used on his 2009 tax returns, what's that, Harry Brunel?
Mm-hmm.
Orly Tates just got a Maryland judge to give her an extension to go after the Social Security Administration, who's been stonewalling her.
And that was predicated. Barack Obama, we now know, received what was called a notice of mismatch from the Social Security Administration August the 17th, 2011. That story came down the end of last week. He received a letter of mismatch from the SSN on August 17th, 2011. Does that same letter mean Obama is, it's what? Or who? And there's no answer to that question now either.
No, and all his different addresses all have different Social Security numbers attached to them as well.
What I believe, and again, tell me what you believe, I believe that 77, 76, 78, somewhere in and around there, he starts thinking about a public life. And he has been using a legitimate SSN that was granted from the Social Security Administration when he was 16, 17 years of age, working at Baskin-Robbins in Honolulu. And that Social Security number was assigned, because, you know, numbers in the Social Security Administration mean where you got your number. And I believe his number was a special set-aside they give to foreign nationals. And I believe that's, of course, that's part of the scam that he's used, you know, in his undergrad, graduate school, and he's used that Kenyan or I don't know, Indonesian or wherever the hell story he tells or told, or they told him to use, one way or the other. So he uses that. So he finds out now that if he drops that SSN in draft registration, which he did late, or whatever the hell he's going to do, he turns up to be a foreign national. He can't be that person and do what he wants to do. Or simply, it's part of his story. Maybe that's a better way to say it. And so now, we now know this, that the Social Security Administration sent him a no match, August 17th, 2011, a notice of mismatch. Now, I don't expect Brian Williams to do this, but I would think somebody would look at this and say, geez, that's pretty weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that ring true that that's probably why he switched, or maybe why he switched? I can't.
What's that?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I can see him wanting to, like, pursue politics, and somebody, you know, maybe his mentor or something said to him, you're not going to be able to unless we can somehow, you know, make you American or, like, prove your citizenship. Because, I mean, he would never have been president. You know, half his political career would have never happened.
Yeah, here it is. I mean, when you think about it again, he realizes that this SSN, by the way, that he's been using to get into Columbia, into Yale, and into that foreign travel with the Pakistani roommates, all that stuff has been, you know, like a magic carpet. And now he has to get off the carpet and do what? Try and become, change his life story, including being 2.5 years of age, going to the airport to say goodbye to his dad, and the happy family, instead of the truth is that he's probably 9 days old and his mother takes him to Washington State. I mean, it just comes apart, but you can't get anybody, or you can get certain people to at least look at it, but most of the mainstream press won't even come near the story, will they?
No, they won't. They're afraid of getting called racist
or
whatever like the rest of us.
Yeah. So what's next for you, Sean? What are you going to look at next?
What's that?
Where's your project taking you next on this?
I've been looking into some things. We've been working on his father and his father's ties, like to communist groups and things like that. So we're going to be revealing some things to do with that. Like, we've been digging pretty hard into it.
You stay close to us, and if you pop something up, you know how to get a hold of us, and we know how to get a hold of you. You're now in the club, right?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Hey, Sean, you be safe. Take care of yourself, brother.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.